Hey everybody, it's Beej with Lambda School. We're going to be using the Python shell with Django now to manually add some models to the database to give us an idea how that code feels. So what we want to be able to do is launch the shell, and we're going to import the model that we just made, and then we're going to save new notes to the database. So we're going to be doing this kind of a demo within the Python shell. Normally you do this within your Python code, but just to see how it works and to see that there is a Python shell that we can make use of, let's have a look and see how that goes. So we've defined our model for notes already with an ID which gets automatically populated, a title, and some content. And what we'd like to do is run the Python shell, create a new note using Python, make sure that that note has the fields that we set in it, and then we'll save that note to the database. Then when we relaunch the shell, we'll see that the note is still there because it has been saved. So let's go ahead and do that. You see here we're already in our virtual environment. I'm going to run manage.py shell, and this is going to put us into a Python shell. We see we're Python version 3, and we've got our prompt there waiting for us to issue Python commands. So the first thing I need to do is import my note model. I defined that thing here in our notes app in models.py. And so we need to bring that in. So the way we specify that in Python is by putting the path name followed by a period followed by the file name. So notes.models is going to get us that module that we want to import. So let's go ahead and do that. From notes.models, import note. And note is the class that we defined there. So let's bring that in and ask what note is. It says it's a class. All right, so we should be able to instantiate it just like we do any other normal thing in Python. So I'm going to make a new note, and I'm going to say that the title is example and that the content is, this is a test. And so this should create a new note for us that we've stored in N. Tells us that it's a note object, and hey, look, it's got this big UID associated with it. And we should be able to inspect it and see what's there. Title is example, just like we said. Content is this is a test, just like we said. There's also that automatically populated ID field. And there it is, a UID stored in the model. Now, so far, we haven't done anything in particular with the database. All we've done is created a new note. And it's sitting here in memory, referred to by that variable n. And that's all we've done. The database doesn't have anything new in it. But if you remember, when we made our note, we inherited from models.model. This gave us functionality for interacting with the database. And so what we can do at this point is we can call n.save, this function. And this is one of the methods that we've inherited from models.model. And what this does is actually save this note in our SQL database. So all the SQL code necessary to do that saving is done for us. We don't need to think about it. It is now saved in the database. Let's go ahead and exit the shell and try all that one more time, except this time we're just going to look and see what's in the database. So I brought up a new Python shell. That variable n is gone, of course, because it was only in that one REPL. So let's bring in our note again. So we have that. Now there's another, we already saw the .save method that was on instances of a note, but there's a class method on note that's really useful. It's called objects. It's not a method, actually. It's an attribute on the class. And what this thing is it's our window into the ORM. This is how we query the database. And so if we want to get all the notes out of the database, there's a method called all, and this will return all the note objects that we have in the database. Notice it's returning a query set. It's got some angle brackets or some square brackets around it here, which imply that this is an array of some kind. And so I get all the notes and they're in my all notes variable, I should be able to look at all notes 0. That gives me a note object. And we can look and see if there's a title on it. There is. It's my example note that I added earlier. So note.objects has a .all method that returns everything from the database, but it's got a variety of other methods for being more particular about how you interact with the database. It's got a filter, for instance, if you want to filter specific notes out of the database and so on. So it's a very powerful way to get in the database and select specific objects out of it. And we'll talk more about the ORM another time. But for now, we'll just be happy with the .all method that returns all the note objects that we have in the database so far as an array. So this has been an introduction to using the Python shell and also how to create and save notes to the database. As a challenge, go ahead and use a different model and import that. Create a couple new instances and save those to the database. And then exit the shell and restart it. And then using object.all, verify that the notes or that the objects have indeed been saved to the database. Thanks for watching.